Hey guys, this is George from the Shufflepod, and you are experiencing the one and only episode 3 of the Shufflepod Weekday Wrap-Up. So guys, we talked about Dyatlov Pass this week. Woody took the reins on this and spun a pretty doggone good story. But before I get into that, I want to let you guys know, which if you're not listening to it, you should be listening to it. I love it. It's called Case File. It's a podcast done by an Australian guy. He goes by Anonymous, it says on the description, and he covers true crime. It's phenomenal. You can find it on Podbean, which we're hosted on Podbean, so you can find it there. You can find it iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and I think probably SoundCloud too, I think. But yeah, man, if you guys get a chance, listen to Case File. It's phenomenal. Also, I would like to give a huge shout out to Netflix. You guys, if you have not watched The Punisher, it is absolutely phenomenal. I believe probably on the last episode, but the first day that I started watching it, I watched, I believe, 6 or 7 episodes of it. So it is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, it's unreal. But yeah, so if you guys get a chance, check it out. Without further ado, let's move on to Dyatlov Pass. Dyatlov Pass is in a mountain range. Unfortunately, it's named after Dyatlov, which was the expedition leader, 23-year-old guy. He was like a radio operator, and yeah, he died. Not to kill the story completely, but everybody else died, except one guy. His name was Yuri. He became sick and was unable to continue on the trek. As it turns out, he was the only lucky one because he's the only one that survived. So anyways, Dyatlov Pass is in a mountain range in Russia, and I'm not really going to read a ton of the Russian names because I'm going to look like a complete asshole, not knowing exactly how to pronounce the stuff. So I'll just basically summarize this. Group of 10 individuals went out on a journey, a trek, to go out through this mountain range, and they were going on an expedition. One guy fell ill. He had to stay back with another little town. And basically on February 1st, roughly, well, I guess it was February 1st, 1959. Not roughly, but it was. They got lost. Their bodies were discovered. I believe they were supposed to be back February 2nd, I believe. And in May, the Russian military and stuff found these people, and they were all dead. 9 of them died from hypothermia and physical trauma. And it says, here, I'll read an excerpt from Wikipedia. It says, in 1958, a group was formed for a skiing expedition across northern Urals in the Soviet Union. I'm not going to pronounce the city because I'll blow it. Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old radio engineering student at the Ural Polytechnical Institute, was the leader of the assembled group. The 9 others for the trip, most of which were fellow students and peers at the university. Basically, the group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, and they were experienced grade 2 hikers, I guess. Evidently, that's pretty doggone good. It's probably better hiking than I would ever be able to do. It says the group arrived on January 25th, 1959, in Ivdel, a city in the center of the northern province of Savoldas Oblast. In the early morning hours of January 25th, 1959, they took a truck to a little village where they settled in for the evening, ate, and woke up the next day. Woke up and January 27th, 1959, they began their trek. On January 28th, one of the members and this is the guy that actually would be the lucky one. This Yuri Yudin, he suffered some health-related issues and had to drop out. He had a congenital heart defect, so he could not go on with the group, and so he had to stay back. When the bodies were discovered from these people at Dyatlov Pass, the diaries and their cameras were found around their last campsite. There it says here on February 1st, the hikers started to move through Dyatlov Pass. Well, it's actually the pass, but now it's Dyatlov Pass, so the unlucky bastard. It seems that they had planned to get over the pass and make camp the next night on the opposite side because of the worsening weather conditions. They had snowstorms and decreased visibility. They lost their direction and deviated west up towards the top of the mountain. When they realized that their mistake, the group decided to stop and set up the camp on a slope of the mountain rather than moving the 1.5 kilometers downhill to a forested area, which would have offered some shelter from the elements. So they said they heard, supposedly, possibly that they heard a loud noise, which could have been from parachute bombs or Yetis or whatever. And I'll go into some of the theories about it. But something startled them from their tent. It appears that they cut their way out of the tent and took off just hastily. A lot of them weren't clothed properly. They weren't wearing shoes and stuff. It says a legal inquest started immediately after finding the first 5 bodies. Medical examination found no injuries, which might have led to their death, and it's eventually concluded that 5 of them died of hypothermia, and the one person had a small crack in his skull, but it wasn't thought to be enough to be fatal at the time. An examination of the 4 bodies, which were found in May, so I guess from February to May, they found an additional the 4 bodies, and that kind of changed what exactly happened. It says 3 of the ski hikers had fatal injuries. Let's see, 1 had major skull damage, and 2 of the other people had major chest fractures at the time. So they were physically attacked by something, whether it was an actual a group of people. People have theorized that it could have been like a Yeti, or it could have been a concussion from these parachute bombs, which we'll later get into. And I guess on the one lady, her eyes were missing and her tongue was missing. So it was, it was a gruesome sight. There was one lady was found lying face down in a small stream. And it says the stream ran under the snow. Her external injuries were in line with the putrefaction of a wet environment, and were unlikely related to her death. So I guess she had been in this running creek for such a long time, and that could have been part of the reason that she lost, her eyes and stuff too. It says 6 of the group members died of hypothermia. 3 of the other members died of physical ailments. Some of the theories involved with this is an avalanche. Whether it was they actually had an avalanche and the snow might have came down and hit the tent and blocked the door of the tent, which is why they cut their way out of the tent. Or they didn't know if maybe the group heard an avalanche coming down the hill or whatever, and that's why they hastily took off. They're not sure exactly what happened there, but a lot of people speculate that it could have been an avalanche. And it says, let's see here, another one is, in which I thought was kind of interesting. It's called infrasound. And infrasound is the easiest way Woody described it was when you drive down the street and somebody lowers the windows in the back of the car, there's that pounding sound, that boom, 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 boom in your ear, and it's like the pressure. That's kind of what that is on a simpler form, on a lesser form of what these people could have experienced. Woody went on to describe that through the canyon, the winds could have been just right and came through the canyon and made that thumping, pressure. And they said one of the people could have, and Woody said, not they, Woody said one of the people could have jumped out of their sleep. It startled them. They cut out of the tent because they didn't know what the hell it was. He takes off, or she takes off, and the others follow just out of sheer panic, which I thought it was pretty cool theory there that it could have been. And they said some of the physical ailment, the physical injuries could have been from them slipping and falling on rocks underneath the snow and stuff and down part of the ravine. So that could have been very well, could have been it. Another big, huge theory is military tests. And when Woody said it was military tests, DJ and I kind of inquired about it because, I had brought up that the Cold War was going on, and, Soviets and in the U.S., did a lot of testing, and this was a very remote area, and the Soviets could have been doing testing. Now, they said the military tests, if they were running them, it was most likely parachute mines. And parachute mines, I guess, come down on parachutes, and they detonate 1 to 2 meters above the ground before they hit, and the concussion can fracture bones and knock people out and cause internal damage and stuff too. So that was a pretty cool theory that Woody brought up to us. And I guess part of that, of the parachute, the military tests and the parachute bombs and stuff, goes into another cover-up where it's the Russian military actually was covering up that aspect of it too, because they said they were not testing at that point in time, which was, who knows? I don't know. And they also said it could have been radiological weapons because there was higher levels of radioactivity on some of the clothing of the bodies. So how can these clothing on these people become radioactive if there wasn't some sort of radiological bombs or testing of some kind of weapon or whatever? So that's kind of a pretty unique explanation as to what could be. And they also said paradoxal undressing. And I guess this is kind of an affliction of when you become hypothermic due to the low temperatures. When your body heat drops, it messes with your mind a lot. And people have been known to remove their clothing in response to feeling a burning warmth in their body before they actually freeze to death. And that could explain a lot of the reason why they were found missing shoes and clothing and stuff. And that would kind of, to me, make the most sense. Maybe they were delirious. And so I don't know. It could have been. I mean, that to me is the most realistic. Other people have said that it could be Yetis. And, I guess in 2014, the Discovery Channel put on a special about the Russian Yeti. And they said the theory of the Dyatlov group, it was killed by the Menyuk, or a Russian Yeti. The show begins with the premise that the skiers' injuries were such that only a creature with superhuman strength could have caused the injuries of the internal injuries and stuff. Who the hell knows? I don't know. I don't know if I believe it was a Yeti, but sure, why not? But yeah, it's pretty cool. If you guys get a chance if you guys have not listened to the episode, give it a listen if you feel like it. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. Woody did a really good job, did a lot of research. I'm not doing it the best amount of justice ever, but he did a really, really, really good job, bringing this to light. I had no idea what Dyatlov's Pass was. I'd never heard of it, and it was cool. So I'm going to close out the show. I'm going to do an original song, and it's a song that I wrote a few years ago, and it's about my wife. My wife and I have been together since high school. I'm 41 years old now, and she's a pretty special lady. I love her. So this song is a song that I wrote. It's called "You're So Pretty." So here we go. Excuse me, lady, love, but you might be sweeter than honey from a honeybee. You might be. If it's okay by you, child, I'd like to stay here with you for a while and keep you company. You see, I'm so alone, you're too pretty to be. Wake in the morning, won't you put a dress on? If you wake with the bluebirds, oh, sing a song. You're so pretty to me. Let me feel the vibe, oh, for one last time. Let into my body and overtake my mind. You're so pretty to me, and you're every woman that I'd ever need. You know I'd die in your arms if only you'd let me. I'd sing you're so pretty, oh, so pretty to me. You know I'd die in your arms if only you'd let me. And it goes like let me feel the vibe, oh, for one last time. Let into my body and overtake my mind. You're so pretty to me. The feel of the music even moves your soul, even numbs your body, and Lord, you lose control. You're so pretty to me. You know I'd die in your arms if only you'd let me. I'd sing you're so pretty, oh, so pretty to me. And you're every woman that I'd ever need. You know you're so pretty, oh, so pretty to me. I'd sing you're so pretty, oh, so pretty to me. Excuse me, lady, love, but you might be sweeter than honey, Lord, from a honeybee. You might be. It's okay by you, child. I'd like to stay with you for a while. You're so pretty to me, and you're every woman that I'd ever need. die in your arms. If only you'd let me, I'd sing you're so pretty, oh so pretty to me. No, I'd die in your arms, if only you'd let me. So that's the show for this week. Give us a listen next Sunday. And until next time, guys, have a great one. Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying it. Let us know what you guys think of the weekday wrap-up shows. And it's kind of still a little experimental. I kind of like adding in a little bit of the music at the end. So if you guys don't like the music, completely understandable. Just, listen up until the point that I say, all right, going to do a song. And if you guys like the music, I appreciate it. And I'll let you guys know ultimately here how you guys can get a hold of the music. Working on something to do with our Patreon subscribers. And also, I'll tweet out some links ultimately of how you guys can access the songs and stuff. But until next week, thank you guys so much. Have a great one. And take advice from Matt Lauer. Don't pull your stuff out, because ladies don't like that. And it appears that, you probably also don't want to buy your coworker a sex toy. But yeah, so the amount of people that have been just pulling their meat out and, I don't know. It's crazy. Maybe we'll talk about it next week on the Shufflepod. And until then, have a great one, guys. Take care.